Hello, it's going to be a really quick tutorial on how to replace some of these inner edge or just inner center pieces in general on a 9x9. So this can be applied to most 9x9s and even 8x8s and 10x10s and 11x11s. It's kind of just once you have the basic concept down, you can apply it to different puzzles. So the first step that we're going to need to do is, I've already done this step, but is to take out a center piece if it's an odd number. Or the center cap if it's an odd number cube, and loosen the side. So let's say I want to take out these three edges right here. I would just loosen the top bit, and what that'll do is allow for a little bit more play. Now we don't want to take off the entire center because that's just more work. So what we want to do is just loosen it up enough so it still sticks, but it gives us about like that much of play onto the puzzle. So let's say I want to remove this one, this one, this one. Let's say one of these broke or popped off. We can go ahead and replace that through this method. And this is the safest way. There are more tricky or more risky ways to do it that could damage the puzzle, but it's faster. But I like doing it like this because it's the safest way. We're not damaging anything with this. So once you've loosened that top side, I actually like to apply a little bit of tape here. So like on these centerpieces, because what happens is when you take out some edges, these centerpieces can kind of drop down. Same with these ones. So here in the front, I'm actually going to tape up the pieces that I don't want to kind of move, which in this case, I want to remove these three. I don't want anything below that to move. So I'm going to tape those guys up like that. From here, we're going to go ahead and turn the cube slightly. And we're going to take out these three pieces kind of at the same time. And how to do that is we're going to go ahead and put our finger and our thumb underneath those three. So now you see how, because the cube is loose, it's really easy to do that. We're going to take that top and we're going to go ahead and remove these, not by pulling them straight out because the pieces are a little bit hooked. We're going to try to unhook them. So these guys are hooked in like this. So we're going to try to undo that by going the other way. So here, I have those three pieces. I'm going to try to unhook them from here. Might be easier if I just do it like this. Use my other hand. Nope, this is still easier. Okay. We're trying to pull them towards the left, away from this middle one, like that. And these guys should just lift right out. And we're just gonna unhook them like that. So you see the shape of these, they hook into this middle one, and that's the one that we kind of just have to work around. From here, we can actually go ahead and take out these three pieces. Let's say we need to get them replaced or they popped out. You know, we can just go ahead and slowly take them out. We're not trying to pull anything out really, really fast. In fact, it's probably best to do this one at a time. So you'll see that they'll just pop right out. And we don't want to force anything. We just want to let the piece come out by itself. We're just trying to guide it out. So this inner one is really, really deep into the core. We don't want to force it because this one's really, really long and narrow and it will snap if you force it. So I'm gonna try to go ahead and try to spread the cube out a little bit like this and just try to slowly coax it out. There we go. So you see how these center pieces are kind of dropping down? That's because I forgot to put some tape on those ones. I'm gonna go ahead and apply a little bit of tape on those just so they don't drop down. So now they're not gonna be dropping down anytime soon. Okay, great. So we've removed the centerpieces. If you broke one of these inner centerpieces, make sure that there's no kind of loose plastic in there from like these long pieces. Just take some needle nose pliers or tweezers or whatever, just pull it out. Because it's already broken, you can use as much force as you need to get it out. But in this case, let's go ahead and work on putting in the pieces. So I'm gonna start off with the smallest of the three pieces that we've removed. In this case, this one right here. What we want to do is hook it around, you see that plastic right here? We're just gonna hook it around that like that. Very easy. We're gonna go for the middle one now, the medium one. Same thing, except now we're hooking around that piece that we put in earlier. And now the large, longer one. And we're just gonna go ahead, and this one will hook a little bit more differently because this hooks around multiple pieces. So what I want to do, because we've loosened up the cube, it should be a little bit easier to kind of spread apart. Make some space, and we just want to guide it in there. We don't want to force anything, because if we force, it will break. I just... Alright, see, that guy keeps dropping out because my tape's not holding. There we go. There we go. So that's in. So if you're only replacing these two, you don't actually need to take that guy out. This is just for demonstration's sake. From here, we can put the edge pieces back in. Much like those inner center pieces, they're hook kind of into each other and around that piece. So we're gonna start off with the smallest one, which is this one. So what we need to do here is we're trying to just spreading this apart slightly. We don't want to apply too much force because this one could bend out of place. So we just want to make enough room for us to put that in like that. Next one, same thing. That. And that last one, we're just trying to hook it very carefully around all the other pieces. Try not to apply any force. If you need to, you can loosen even more sides. We just don't want it to kind of fall apart. This. And this one, a little bit of wiggle, and that should kind of just sit in place. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a screwdriver. I'm just gonna poke at the very bottom base of the, just try to get it to hook around. And there you go. That's how you would replace some center pieces and the edge pieces on the puzzle. From here, make sure to retighten the puzzle. Remove any tape, recap it, and that's how you would get those pieces into it. Now, a more kind of tricky way to put pieces in and out without taking apart, edge pieces and things is something like this, where let's say I want to remove these two. I'm going to go ahead and kind of force it at that gap, start turning, and try to just loosen it from here, right? So here, I managed to kind of get it dislodged. I could take a screwdriver, try to just... There we go. There's definitely ways to do this just without taking apart the puzzle. There we go. I kind of just skipped over some pieces. This one will now just get dislodged. This one will get dislodged as well, because that one's gone. So the reason this is tricky is because you're not removing any pieces. There's less room for error, but it can be done this way as well. To remove it and then to install it, it's just going to be kind of the same thing, where you would just try to offset some pieces just forcefully, make a gap, and then install it. So here I've removed some of those pieces. So here I'm going to try to make another gap right here. And then to install it, I would just try to finagle it through this gap. Push it into place. Push that into place. And that's the quicker version, a little bit more risky, better safe than sorry. Use the first method.